In a world filled with things on the internet, two men, one podcast, two pores.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Two Poor Podcast
from lovely Indian Trail, North Carolina.
Yes.
And we are here with one of our special guests and special friends, Mr. Curtis English.
Yeah, man. Curtis English is one of my
my
nearest and dearest friends. He is one of the supporters of the I've Seen It All album.
Yes.
He's one of the
goes way back.
Dude, that's
Like
how him and I met. You
Yeah.
know? We worked at the same dealership and this dude was like, man, this is great, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts playing all his music and this shit's phenomenal. And I'm like, all right, well, I could vibe with this dude. So it was awesome. But I'm looking forward to getting into your story and what you do and you know, just the last part here, we're going to be discussing his career path of what he's doing now, and it's a senior living assistance, right? Basically, okay.
Yeah. Deep one on this one, especially because of how many, like the baby boomer age right now, is all starting to funnel into retirement.
Oh yeah.
So this right here is massive. I mean, people need to listen to this episode, get some knowledge for their family members, because guarantee it, people like us, family members are at that age.
We're getting to that point where our family members are aging out.
I'm glad you said that, because we ain't that old.
No.
I mean, we're in our 30s.
Sorry not to get,
You know what I'm talking about?
All right.
So we're in our 30s here.
He's old.
I'm not pointing any fingers.
Hey, man, go ahead. Do your thing. Talk to us.
Oh, hey, listen, got to give a shout out to our sponsor, Blue Diamond Pest Control. Holler at Jeff and the guys.
Jeff Maddox.
Holler at the guys and girls over at Blue Diamond Pest Control at 704-701-0876.
Nice.
Saved. Or hit him at bluediamondpc.net for all your pest control needs, commercial or residential.
Is there still a discount if...
Yes. Be sure to call Jeff and tell him you want the Two Poor Podcast discount so he can hook you up and let him know that you are listening and support the show.
I love that, man. I love that.
As far as shout outs, I don't have any other ones, but I think you do. It's a very, very important one.
Man, I've got a good one. In the last 6-7 months, been a lot of stuff that's happened. Losing our very good friend, Ghost, Ricky Hunter, and Kenny Carver and myself have decided to make an album, and we are done with it. We've got.
And we've heard some samples,
but
of some of the beats we've got on this album.
We've got 9 songs. Okay. The album is called Blurry Nights. Okay. And it derived from our good friend and brother Keith Allison. Yeah. So maybe one day that y'all can find out what Blurry Nights means. But we're gonna continue to mix it down and make it as good as it can be. It's got obviously my brother's on it. Diesel's on it, Principal's on it, Jay Blizz, which is my son Jacob Bass, is on it. He murders it. My daughters are sprinkled through it, and Joshua plays the guitar on a few outros. So
I love it.
Cool.
I love it.
It's pretty dope.
I can't wait to hear it, man.
And it's one of the first times I've made music and not sent it to you guys.
Yeah,
y'all are my
I didn't even get a beat to write to.
I didn't get a snippet.
Y'all are my very best. Y'all are my very best friends.
I didn't get a hey man, can you write 16 of this? I didn't get
hey, y'all are my very best friends.
Family affair though.
Hey, I love it. But you don't understand how hard that is for me, because when I do a song, I'm like, man, I want y'all to listen to it.
Yeah.
And so him and I, and Kenny just started making beats. Just learn. I mean, he's always had a passion for it, but he really, really dug in. And it's amazing, dude. It's really, really dope.
I mean, from everything that I heard on the beat side of it, it's right up your alley.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure you're knocking it out of the park. And honestly, man, I can't wait to hear it. Because the beats that you were playing for me, it's like, man, like, dang, I would want to write to this. You would want that, yeah. So I know where you went.
And it's silly.
And I can't wait to hear it.
Then some of it's trap, and like I've never in my life done it. Not once.
Seriously?
And
really?
I'm going to tell you this right now. Yeah. My style on trap and what I've done, the only thing I would say that I've done different that you and Jason wouldn't recognize is that there's not that aggressive fucking yelling shit. I am calm and cool, and I am, and I'm also engineering the whole thing myself.
I can't wait to hear it because that's a completely different sound from the way your cadence is and everything.
I'm not saying I don't believe you.
You're not saying I'm a liar.
But I do have this picture of you with your pants on fire. That's kind of weird. But no, that's crazy. It's just not, I mean, that's not necessarily your style. It's not where you've gone.
Well, man,
so it's going to be different.
It's really cool. And the coolest part about it is learning the art of engineering and mixing. And it is fucking hard. And it's annoying. I used to record and I would bounce. I don't want to sit there and listen to the same. And I'm like, what are you listening for?
Well, that's really almost like two different sides of like a disc profile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't be both of these things in a lot of ways, but some people can do it. But dude, so maybe you're finding your niche.
It's to the point where I don't even care about rapping anymore. Like I want to get done with that shit quick so I can start mixing it. Like that's become funny. My passion.
Dude, there's not a lot of dual rappers, people who can write, people who can perform, and also produce and mix down their own stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's an art, man.
Can we just give a shout out to people who actually write their own music?
I think it's phenomenal.
I don't care what genre it is. I don't want to listen to if you're not writing.
Real creative.
You're not writing your own music.
Yeah. Real creatives, man. I agree.
Even on diss tracks, there's 4 writers on a diss track. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Mind.
It's ridiculous.
Never mind. All right, so what's are we going?
No, man.
Why don't I pour? You want to introduce Mr. English?
All right, I'm going to introduce Mr. Curtis English. Okay, and this is
that's a good sound.
It is, but it's fucking. I cannot believe you got it for $1.17. Curtis English, born Jacksonville, North Carolina, in Camp Lejeune Marine Base. He moved to West Palm Beach, Florida, when he was 2 years old. It's where he grew up. He moved to Charlotte in 1998. What an amazing year 1998 was, man. I'm going to tell you that. He's got 2 sons, Evan and Beckham. I love Evan very much. He's a very, very creative lad, man. This dude is amazing. And Beckham's such a beautiful young cat. And props to you as I told you when you said that you and Melissa were having a baby. And Melissa, shout out to Melissa. I love you. She said,
"Love you, babe."
I said, you understand that Evan's almost 18, right? Like he's almost." And you were like, "Dude, it just is what it is, right?" And I couldn't be more happy for you, man, because that's really an amazing deal. And he is a beautiful young kid. I got to go see him play some baseball last weekend. Evan's in he's in Charleston right now.
Charleston, working for Boeing,
manufacturing aircraft. As young as Beckham is 8 years old. Most of his adult career has been based around some sort of selling and marketing and salesmanship, all that kind of stuff. I actually met him in a dealership. He was a finance director there and did a phenomenal job, but that sucked a lot of his life away.
Seems like a whole nother life ago, dude.
Yeah. I still can't believe you got out of the freaking mafia, because that's what the car business is, man. The mafia, bro.
Once you're in there, you're almost a lifer.
We've had this conversation multiple times.
He worked 12 years in the car business, 5 years in finance. He decided to get out of doing all that kind of stuff and became a realtor, which is not easy. My brother-in-law's a realtor. Shout out to Scott, and I know a couple other people that are too. And it's not an easy task.
There's so many people who are in real estate now and being a realtor and stuff like that. It's a cutthroat.
It's cutthroat, but it's very
saturated business.
But it's very my props to it more than anything else. It's so hard to get into it.
Here's what I'll tell you. So, when you're getting your license, it is a long process, dude. I will tell you that. Mm-hmm. Most people kind of fall out while they're taking the testing because
they fail at the
you
first.
Literally are going to class. You literally have to take the test. You have 90 hours of post-licensing that you have to pass. But the problem is you can throw a rock and hit a realtor anywhere, right?
And that's usually oversaturated,
right? However, most of those people, even after they do get licensed, they fade off, so.
Well, to end it off, I know I'm saying a lot, but you mean a lot, right? He got into the business of helping communities with senior living, right? And he worked into that, worked up to a sales director kind of position, where he was in charge of one community and he was helping families transition over into that place, and that maybe they identify with the different kind of healthcare deals like dementia and stuff like that. They have that kind of staff on deck. Long story short, man, he decided to still stay in the industry but not work for a designated community.
Correct.
So now he has his alliances with the different hospitals and stuff like that, and different people that he connects with that get him in touch with these families who don't know what to do. People don't know what to do when your mom can't take care of herself anymore. Yeah. People don't know what to do. I can't say like, yeah, mom, you can come live with me, but I got to go to work. And Ashley's got to go to work. Who's going to take care of her? You know?
Yeah, I get it.
So it's something that you don't think about. And I really, really, really believe it because he's already seen some fruition from it, from people that he's known in past lives that have called on to him and said, hey, man, my grandmother or my mom or whatever like that's going through this. What do we do? Because they heard him on a different podcast he was on. So besides that, a music connoisseur, this dude, I've never met anybody in my life that loves music more than this guy. He is in a handful of people. He's one of the first people I ever met that had a podcast the size of a fucking Nintendo 64 and had every song you could think of. And it was like, I remember when I was driving around and I'm like, oh my God, you got 5,000 albums on there? Anyway, it's awesome. Very, very near and dear friend of mine. I love him very much. And I'm glad to have you on the Two Port podcast with my brother from another, my very best friend on the planet. And it's go time. It's go time. Woo!
All right.
I feel good about it. Right?
It was very emotional.
It was emotional. It was a lot.
Charged intro.
There's a lot of charge there, Sean.
A lot of history there.
You know? Yeah, there's a lot of history. All right, so I can't stop smelling this shit.
I know. So
I keep wanting to. You know why I keep talking? It's because I don't want to fucking take a sip of it.
Let's just cheers to that. Cheers to that intro. Cheers to it. Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here.
Holy. Ooh, man.
Tell us a little bit.
It's got some fire behind it.
Man, that did.
There's like the sweet. It has a very good taste.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing taste to it. But it's like the heat on it. The heat on it is a little extreme. Yeah. I don't care what any of y'all say. Okay, y'all can drink your fucking 150 proof and like sit over there and act like you're not miserable, right? Shitting out
Some
fireballs.
people like it, man. Some people like it.
I'm going to tell you this.
Some people order their wings naked. Some people want.
Right now, it's a sweet finish, but it does have a really sweet finish, like a lot of these do. I think that's just.
What's the proof on this one?
I think it's right 117.4, something like that.
And I'm in the 80 to 89 wheelhouse.
Man, I will tell you this though. So the finish, super smooth,
really smooth,
super smooth. Right before you get to that final finish, though, it's like a gust of wind. It's rough. Fire.
It's rough, but I am going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it.
There's no lingering burn for me. No. Do you got lingering burn?
No, not
it's
anymore.
Not bad at all. You know what would probably help with this? A little splash of some water.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I could see
to
that.
Cut it a little bit.
Open up some notes.
That's it.
Well, that's why we put it on ice. Okay, just so you know. Yeah.
You put it on ice, you water it down far too much.
Okay. Well, you're going to have yours on ice.
On the second pour, because Curtis, that's what we do. That's what we do.
We're going to do the slap and take on this. Look, man. So tell me about it.
So this is a different one right here. So you've had High West. I have not. Mm-hmm. Right. The kind of the regular.
They've had a double rye that's really good. They have a regular one that's like, I think it's 90 proof or whatever. Really, really smooth, really good. I don't know anything about the brand. I don't know where the distillant is or anything.
Yeah. So High West, this is, they are out of Wanship, Utah.
Wanship, Utah. Can I tell you something? It's around Mormon land.
Yeah, close
to some Mormons. Right? I know some ex-Mormons that and no offense to that, calling them that because that's what they are, and they're great people. Yeah, love them.
Good save.
That is yeah. Well, I don't want them to think I'm hating. You know,
bashing religion. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, man. Because
our Mormon audience right now is very high. Okay, guys, we don't want to.
Well, they need to stop smoking weed. So tell me. So out of Utah, cool. It's definitely got what kind of ages on this bottle?
So this one right here is they specialize in blends, and ryes are what they're most known for. Yeah. So when you said they had their high kind of rye content, it's probably that's their go-to. But this is a blend, and it's a little over 4 years. And this was actually, they do a lot of specialization. So this one right here was for the ABC store here in Indian Trail.
There you go.
This was kind of like their batch that they picked the blends from. So company founder, Dave Perkins, that's what he does. He gathers from distilleries all across the country. That's his thing. That's what he believes in. That's what he believes that, that's his belief. That's what he wants to do. So, huge on blends. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of more privy to the same warehouse. Give me that bottled and bond. Yeah, give me this. It's close to the natural element of where that bourbon is aged in.
I'm with you, and that's probably where some of the harshness comes from because it hadn't aged for a good dime or something. You know what I mean?
So it hadn't really smoothed. Yeah, it hadn't smoothed out enough. But yeah, aged at least 4 years. It's strong, like we said, 117.4. I don't know. I do like the color. I mean, I think it's
sexy. It's got some sexiness to it.
It's got some depth to it. Nice gold, golden hue,
golden,
like golden shower,
bright golden beauty right here.
I'll take another sip of it.
Drink that in.
Oops, sorry guys.
Drink it in. It always goes down smooth.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. You get a little bit of different, but so the caramel and vanilla, I mean, which is kind of what we've said is kind of our flavor profile. We both kind of agree on that. A little bit of green apple.
Ah, a little green apple, a little sour apple.
There's a little bitter, little bit of bitter in there, but
I like it. I'm a fan.
So
I'm pumped.
Also, some baked spices have been talked about in there. Then maybe that's where that kind of
little cayenne pepper in there. Throw a little cayenne pepper over there in Utah.
Little Lucifer sweat.
Yeah, a little Lucifer sweat there.
Look, seasoned oak. Your fave.
Seasoned oak. I love it, man. Give me as many seasoned oaks at the same time as what?
Jeez.
I've got the perfect girl for you.
All right, so listen, man. I'm very glad to have you on this platform, and one of the things that we both love is the fact that not only have we started this with a purpose, and the purpose that we started it with was for a platform for us to have a place to discuss ideas, to heal, to talk about things that may be bothering us, or try to educate, on the 4 quadrants of health. And also let folks come onto this platform that we respect very much, and the past guests that we've had, they did beautifully, right? Yeah. And I've been saying his name since day one, Paul. I've been saying it since day one for him to come in and be on this show, because he's one of the people that got out of the car business. I respect the car business because it's my livelihood, and I'm not going to sit here and talk bad about it because that's silly, right? I chose this life, but he's one of the guys that got out of it, and it's not like you just jump out of the car business in finance, being a finance director, making crazy money, but also you're working till midnight. You're working on Sundays. You're not in a great position to be a good partner or a good father. Not saying that stopped you from being there, but it gives all the ingredients for you to just be fucking tired, man. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, right? Because I was going to ask, because I don't know a lot of your history, right? That's what I was going to say is, Jimmy, both you and I, like, you started out in car dealerships and you washing cars and, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then,
I remember those days.
And then kind of worked your way on up. I mean, and I started on the automotive end, selling parts and delivering, and worked my way up on that end. And that's what I was going to ask. For the field that you're in now, it's so much different than a lot of the people that we know and run with and things like that. I mean, noble cause, admirable cause.
Yeah.
But where did the switch come from? And I didn't know that you started out in the car business, but then you got out. So where did that change come from for you? Was it the family? Was it the working, god awful hours and things like that?
Look, man, I think that's the $1 million question, right? That I look back on for myself as well, which is I spent many years in that business and did very well financially. There was a certain level of security that comes along with working in the car business too.
Yeah. Always going to need vehicles. So
always, right? Yeah. But that industry and that business in and of its own is its own bubble, right? And a lot of the stuff that you do in that business doesn't translate very well to the outside world, if that makes sense.
So if you were going to leave, it's not like you can say, well, look at all this financial experience that I have, when that's possibly some of the hardest financial stuff that you're doing. I mean, I mean, that's a cutthroat market, and you're constantly having to wheel and deal.
Oh, it is. And
no pun intended, I guess.
I will tell you this. I'm on my second marriage, so I can tell you that first marriage definitely suffered because of the hours and the commitment that you have to put in. You know.
So all right. So for all the people out there who are like, man, I want to get in the car business and sell a bunch of cars and make a shitload of money, because you can make a bunch of money.
You can make a lot of money.
You can make a lot of money. And you can make a lot of money on the finance side of it. So if you were going to look at them and tell them, you better be ready for what?
So the big thing, I think, when you're in the car business, and Jimmy can speak on this too, but from the side that I was on, especially with the finance end and the sales end, and not so much the operational end of the dealership side, I can tell you that you have to be willing to have a partner, if you're in a partnership with somebody, that they understand what the commitment that it takes. Because there's an expectation for you to stay in the role that you are and be successful. And to make that type of money, there's an expectation that you need to be there when the doors are open, when the door closes, right?
And with finance, you're usually the guy locking the doors.
Look, there was no end time for our shifts, right? Yeah. So I could have somebody, I could be scheduled to get off at 8 p.m., right? And have a family drive on the lot at 8 p.m., right? And the salesperson is with them. I can't leave until that salesperson is done and all of those customers are off the lot, right? Yeah. So, because if they do end up getting a commitment for them to buy a car, they have to have a finance manager. It's got to be there to do all the paperwork. So it was not uncommon to leave there at 11:30 at night, right? And having a small child, having a wife, it's not really conducive for a healthy relationship on that end. Now, there's a lot of people that can manage that and do that, but you have to have a solid partnership with someone else, understanding what the commitment that comes along with it.
And that's one of those age-old questions. We're all fathers, right?
Yeah.
So at what point do you choose the kids, over the money? Is the money really worth it? Or did you feel like that you might have been selling a piece of yourself?
For sure.
For that? Because I imagine the money's great. The money's great. So do you feel like kind of...
Here's what I'll tell you. I was young. So I'll tell you, I was 28 years old making over $100,000 a year, right? 110, 115.
That's almost impossible to walk away from.
So
none of us, we would not have walked. None of us would have walked.
And at that age, right?
That was like, 30, 35 years ago?
Damn, son. I got a little gray in the beard, but no, I was all in, right? And I was committed to it. So I put everything into it, and it gave me a lot, right? But it also took a lot from me. But I didn't realize that because I'm young, and you have a young family and things like that.
And you're providing. I mean, you feel great because you're that young and you're providing for your family. I mean, that's awesome.
100%. But that's where that transition came from. That there was time I knew I needed to make a shift to get out of that.
Was there a defining moment? Like, what was the defining? It was Tuesday at 3:30, and you're like, you know what? Screw this.
Hey, listen. If you're game, I'm game. I would love to hear it. Only if you're game for it. Love to hear your.
Oh, is there a story?
That story?
Is there a story?
Hold up.
You know, this is the internet, and this lasts forever, right?
Hey, I got to put my hat on for this.
Hey, don't worry about the microphone. Nobody's listening anyways.
It is probably the greatest story ever. And are we going to hear it?
I don't know, man. Look,
listen,
I'm going to tell you why.
I'm going to tell
you.
I'll tell you. I swear I don't know anything about this now.
I'm going to tell you off the pod, right? And I will let you know what it is. The reason why I can is because you brought me on here to talk about what
Senior
I do professionally.
What he did wasn't bad. I want to make sure everybody knows.
Here's what I'll say, right? So not naming any type of names or things like that, but there are certain people in that business that will just wear you down to a nub, right? And show you no respect, give you no kudos for what you provide because they overlook you, right? Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, I got tired of that. Okay. And I realized that the money, and as my marriage was starting to break down a little bit because of it, because I wasn't there, I wasn't present, you know? Yeah. And when all those things are happening, I started to realize there's got to be a threshold here somewhere where I need to regain this piece, right? Mm-hmm. And I had given up a lot for that American dream, which is the house, the picket fence, the 2 cars, the wife, the dog, the children.
Yeah.
And it gave me all of that.
Yeah, you had everything that you were told was what would make you happy.
Yeah.
But just in general, like what we were preached to, this will make you happy.
Right.
Exactly.
I think that the beautiful part about it, just because I know the exit of it was for a divine purpose, and it wasn't just for Curtis. It was for a very good friend of his that he grew up in the car business with. And you know, again, in any business, there's a lot of cutthroat stuff, and there's a lot of things that happen.
There's shit on every side of the
There's
fence,
things where you're like, really? If they do that, though, man, I'm telling you, if they do that, I'm out. Well, most people don't have the cojones to say. Most people just talk about
Curtis kept it real.
Curtis straight up said peace, and he dipped from something that made him more money back then. Now, that kind of money now is not too far off the table because of the way that the life expenses have gone up. Everything's gone up. So, of course, salaries and earnings will go up.
Yeah, which is a whole nother podcast.
But man, he made that kind of money, and he bounced from it. So I thought it was super.
I'm a loyal person, and I will tell you, seriously loyal. And people that show me loyalty and respect, and people give me what I've earned through the hard work and dedication and things like that. And when it's recognized, it's recognition more than anything. I don't need somebody to constantly tell me and that I'm great and you're doing so great. Yeah. But I know that those people have my back. And one of those people that I had a lot of respect for in the car business basically got railroaded and was made to look like a chump. Right? When he wasn't. He's the reason why the person above him looked like he did, right? Well, the person above him, to cover himself, shifted blame onto him. And I watched him get terminated and walked out of the dealership. And at that point, I was like, I'm out. I said, if they terminate you and they fire you, I'm going to walk out with you, right? Gotcha. And it took a couple days later, but after they did that, I was like, you know what? I will not work under somebody like this. I'm not going to put myself in that situation again where I have to work under somebody who's a tyrant, who shows no respect and gives you no recognition.
Don't care
for
about
hard work.
Money.
That's it.
All right, can we get a cheers on that?
Yeah, man. Cheers on it for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, cheers on it for sure.
Boys.
And I saw what you did, giving me a small pour of it too. Small, like that was good. I appreciate it.
I gave you just the tip.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just a splash. I'm sorry. A splash is what I meant.
See if we get hopped up enough to do some fucked up things.
Ouch, you're on my hair.
Well, so leapfrogging from that, getting off that, because this podcast isn't about that. It is about your story, and it is about you.
Yeah.
But, leapfrogging to where you are now and what you do. If I'm just a regular old Joe and I ask what your job is.
Yeah.
What is your job?
So that's a good question too. I'll tell you this. So when people ask what it is that I do, it's a little difficult to answer in a way that kind of makes sense and doesn't sound silly, right?
Sure.
So my technical job title would be a senior placement specialist. Okay. So ultimately, the way I explain that to most families and most of my clients is that I'm essentially an advocate for families, and I'm like a consultant. So I've been in this industry a little over 7 years now in the senior living industry, and I've worked on both sides, right? Which means I've been on the community side, which means I've sat in the community, was a marketing and sales director for many years.
Selling like a higher end type community.
They're all, there is high end, but
they're all expensive.
They're all expensive, yes.
Yeah,
and there are some higher end, some lower end if we're looking at kind of quality of the community itself. But, essentially what I am doing is consulting with these families to help walk them through this process, which is one of the most overwhelming things you can ever deal with as a family going through this and having a loved one with some cognitive decline, and all of a sudden you're starting to see memory loss. You're starting to see that they can no longer transition themselves to get out of bed. They're falling. Yeah. All the things that come along with aging, right?
Yeah, so it's not like that they have their own apartment and they can take care of themselves. This is mostly for people who need assistance.
Yeah.
They need meal assistance. They need nurses on site and doctors on site.
Yes.
Like that, right?
Well, and the spectrum's wide, right? I do independent living, I do assisted living, and I do memory care placement. Okay. So, and I can explain the difference between all three, right? But basically, depending upon what the client's needs are, and there's a process that I go through with questions and things like that when I do what we call discovery. And I'll sit with that family and really just kind of determine what are we looking for? What are the needs? And there's 4 real check boxes that kind of help me do that.
Okay.
Basically, it's location. What type of area do you want to be in, right? Which is important because that plays a part in distance to travel, to see your loved one and spend time with them.
Yeah.
Number 2 is going to be care needs, right? And this one's very important, which means how much hands-on, how little hands-on is needed through your daily life. It's what is called your ADLs, or activities of daily living. This is the stuff we do every day that we don't think about. That means getting up, hygiene, brushing our teeth, taking a shower, being able to bathe ourselves, getting dressed, being able to feed ourselves, ambulation, which is being able to walk, right? Being able to transition. How is our mobility? All these things play into how much hands-on or how little hands-on is necessary.
That's something you don't think about.
No, not at all.
Not at our age right now.
We don't think about it. And those things start to deteriorate over time, and you end up needing assistance with those things. But so again, you've got care needs, and then you've got financial, which is super important, right? Because
absolutely,
this is another range in our industry that, can range from anywhere to cost of $2,000 a month, right? Up to $12,000 a month.
So it's probably with memory loss care and stuff like that, it's probably a little bit more expensive.
It is, yeah. Memory care
the more boxes,
significantly more
the more
expensive.
boxes you're checking, right?
Yes.
The more that bill is going up.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things that when you're thinking about it as 2 dudes like we are, like, okay, so I got to take my mom there, and are you, again, you're nervous, you have anxiety through the roof. And then you got that feeling like anything else. Is he trying to sell something on me? He keeps on what is he overselling right now? And whatever. But what you're really doing is trying to help that last transition for the placement of a person's life and where they're going to live, and to make sure that it's comfortable. And can you afford it? Here's one thing that I want to ask that I think is a sad thing.
Yeah.
How many times do you have to decline people?
So there's never really a decline. I will tell you this. So I have these conversations every day. So I spend most of my days, right, either consulting with families, touring with families. I'm in and out of all of my accounts, which is all the main hospitals throughout Charlotte, right? So shout out Atrium Union West, Novant, Presbyterian, all the Atrium system. These are all my accounts. So I'm in the hospitals every week, right?
Do you feel like, and I know things change.
Yeah.
Presbyterian, Memorial, and now it's Novant, Atrium, all these big.
Yes.
There's no more Mercy.
No more Mercy. No, Mercy's still there. It's Atrium Mercy. Absolutely. That's one of my accounts.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask which one's better or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Subjective.
It
really is subjective.
But do you feel like and I don't know how far we want to go, because I know healthcare in general is a huge topic.
Don't get me on my soapbox, dude.
It's a huge bullet point.
Don't even get me on my soapbox.
We can do that.
I'll go.
Have Tide boxes.
You get me up.
Seriously. Checking boxes.
Yep.
No, but do you, in general, healthcare for elderly people, is there enough money for it? Are they doing a good job in general?
No.
Providing?
No. So I will tell you this. We are failing our seniors in this country. 100%, hands down, no question about it. And I'll tell you where we're failing our seniors, right? So I can tell you this, at 47 years old, right?
I'm glad I'm not the oldest. Okay. I'm glad I'm not the oldest one in the room anymore.
Cheers.
Hello.
So at 47 years old, I'll tell you this, and to all my peers and all my friends, and I have this conversation regularly with my wife and all my family members, is that you need to be planning now. You have to be planning now. If you are not planning for this period, piece, I'm telling you right now, what's going to happen is you're going to be in the boat where you're not going to have anything available to you.
So when you say planning, I know where my mind goes.
Yes.
The first and only thing, well, 2. 1, preventative maintenance on your body and health. 2,
bingo,
is financial. Got to.
2 is financial. So,
got to.
So taking care of your body, number 1. I'll
James,
tell you
did you
this.
Want to say something?
No, I'm just listening.
I didn't know if you were listening in all to my answers or if you were rolling your fucking eyes.
No, I'm just like, wow, Google's doing really good today for this guy.
Look, we've got the opportunity at our age right? To make these changes now, right? To prepare for this piece.
Right.
I can tell you that the generation prior to us, and we can say the boomers, you can say the quiet generation, you can go through all of this. That generation, health was not really at the forefront, and diet especially was not, right? No. They ate really poor. They did not exercise and do these type of things regularly. Yeah. So their bodies are showing that now for that reason, right? And they're breaking down sooner. So, but when it comes to the planning aspect of this, I will tell you that the financial portion is probably going to be the biggest, if not the second biggest in there with health, because I'll give you an example. If you had $500,000 right now, right, and you were 85 years old, okay, $500,000 is a lot of money, right?
It's a ton of money.
It's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. So I'm going to tell you right now that assisted living, okay, right now on average in our market, in the Charlotte market, averages somewhere anywhere $5,500 up to $7,500 a month. That's assisted living.
Can you say that again for the people in the back?
Yeah. So $5,500 to $7,500 a month on average, okay, for assisted living.
So now listen.
That's 90 grand on the high end, on the high spectrum.
On the high end.
That's ridiculous.
That is insane. So we're talking 5 years, a little over 5 years. And assisted living doesn't have to start at 85.
No, it does not.
Your ass could be in assisted living at 65.
Listen, I have people right now. 60. Absolutely. I place people in their 60s into assisted living.
So you go in, so you retire at 60 years old, you need assisted living care. You're 60 years old, you got $500,000. I'm good.
You're not good.
For 5 years.
I'm telling you. And now here's the kicker with this, right? So let's say you've got that cash and you have exhausted all that money through that 5-year period. We'll use that for an example.
Yeah.
Okay. After that point, you're now relying on what? Social Security and pension. Pensions no longer exist, really.
Okay? Not in today's world.
They're gone.
And definitely not for our generation.
100%. They're gone for our generation for sure.
Yeah.
So let's say you got Social Security, and let's say your Social Security is probably somewhere around $1,700 to $2,000 a month. Is about average of what I see in that generation right now. Okay. I can tell you right now, this puts you in what we call this gray area. And this gray area is essentially you make too much money for Medicaid, okay?
Yeah.
But not enough money to private pay for senior living and care. All right. So
there's always some sort of a oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm getting frustrated just hearing some of this stuff. Like,
we can go, and I can go deep.
And pause. But I know for a fact, because I know
you were sold on that. You were sold on that.
No, I know for a fact, because you and I have talked about it before.
Yeah.
And you've gone into when we met up and ate some Mexican food that one night. You were talking about how much the world or America is not helping the senior citizens of our country. Like we are literally, like, think about that, dude. These people that live that length of life is great. My grandmother, God rest her soul, I love you so much, Betty Jean. She just passed away, a month or so ago. She got to live till she was 88. She got to pass away in the comfort of her own home around her family, right? Not everybody has that.
And the thing about it is when you think, and I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
But when we're sitting here thinking right now, right, in our 40s, okay?
Yeah.
We're all in our 40s.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here thinking about, okay, when I get older, okay, whatever, I'm going to retire and I'm going to have my own house and I'll be fine. I'll just decline.
Yeah.
And then, go away with everybody watching me. That's like almost like a dream now.
Yeah.
It's an older dream, because I will tell you that generation had the ability to do that, right? Yeah. So that's coming into this now. But you could live your life in that manner in their generation at that time, right? But what has happened now, this shift in the cost of care for seniors right now is so out of whack, right, for quality of life, that those people who were in that mindset, right, that you could buy a house for $30,000, that you could pay for your college, right, on a normal hourly job,
You could be a normal person and go to a real college.
100%, right?
Support the family, one income.
Right. Yep. It was all manageable in that manner. It is no longer manageable like that for us in our generation in the world we are in, right?
And it's just going to continue to elevate.
It's going to continue to elevate. What scares me is that if, assisted living right now is anywhere from $5,500 to $7,500 a month, what's it going to be in 30 years? What's it going to be in 40 years when I'm 87?
And I know, and of course, everybody goes back and forth. I legitimately right now I'm planning as if there's going to be no Social Security.
Yeah.
And
there may not be. Wow. Look, there may not be Social Security, and it's probably it's a safe bet to plan that way, to prepare. And that would just be some little bit of gravy that you would have if it's there when we need it, right?
But the way it's going,
look, it's a scary thing right now with where we're at with that care, with the cost of care. Now, memory care, we didn't even talk about memory care. Okay. Yeah. So assisted living and memory care are technically both assisted living, right? But memory care is a specialized assisted living for cognitive decline and any form of dementia. And dementia has many forms, right? So you've heard of Alzheimer's, you've heard dementia. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, and there are many. Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia. You've got, traumatic brain injuries, TBIs that can cause cognitive decline. There's so many things that come along with that. But when you get into memory care is still an assisted living community, which means that there's still caregivers around you 24/7. Doesn't mean you technically need 24/7 care, but you've got people around you that are specialized in the disease, right? Yeah. And they know how to redirect, they know how to re-engage, keep you active, all the things that come along with a quality of life.
But also protecting these people from themselves.
Well, they're secured units. These are secured, we don't use the F word, which is facility, right? Yeah. Because, it's just not the right terminology. It's community. It's always community, right?
Which sounds a lot better.
It sounds better, but
there's a reason for it. But I will tell you, if you can go into a facility, an actual facility, and you'll know
the difference between a community.
100%.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Like more like a jail or more like a dorm.
No, I don't want to step on Curtis's toes. Yep. What I'm saying is to me, a fucking, excuse my language, facility.
You got a bad mouth today.
I know, man. I'm feeling it. I'm on fire. I'm on fire like this High West barrel strength. So.
I'm sorry.
The facility to me right now seems like what most of America can afford if they can afford that.
Right.
And a community sounds a lot more like something like
country
the
club.
1% can afford.
Like a country club.
The key word here, institutional, right? So that's your threshold, I will tell you. A facility is going to be a lot more institutional feeling, right? Yeah. Whereas a community is going to be much more home-like. So I will tell you.
More individually tailored to the...
Yeah, to the residents, right? Yeah. That means that you're going to have apartments where you can furnish with all of your own stuff. All of your common spaces and all of the activity spaces are meant to feel like home. Lots of outdoor spaces, right? But in memory care, everything is secured, right? Because one of the behaviors that comes along with this disease, in certain parts of this disease, is wandering and elopement and exit-seeking behavior.
Yeah.
Because your short-term memory's gone, right? Your long-term is there. You may think that you're in 1975 and feel like you've got to go see your son at work or something, right? And you're 87 years old, you're 90 years old. So you literally will try to walk out the door and leave. And you hear about these horror stories all the time, right?
God.
Seniors found on the side of the road in the woods, in a ditch.
When he said the exit-seeking behaviors or whatever like that, which is, crazy.
Which is the first time I've heard that.
Me too. It put that way. Yeah. But I heard there was a horror story of a lady walking across 77 or 85 and a Mack truck hit her and she exploded, poor lady. Yeah. She didn't know, but then in your head you're like, all right, well then the places need to be a little bit more locked down. They need to have a little bit more, visual on these folks, man.
And I'm with that. The thing that gets me, and all right, so I go back to my mom who had a knee surgery, right? She had a knee replacement surgery. Yeah. She had some pretty bad complications. Mm-hmm. So we had to find somewhere for her to be for 3 to 4 to maybe 6 weeks.
Is that rehab?
Yeah.
Short-term rehab?
Kind of.
Okay.
But then it's almost like they wanted to keep her in the whole assisted living.
They want you to spend that money.
Yeah. Okay. So I started touring some places and facility, institution. Yeah. It found, and I made we always had the running gag, like, okay, it's 4:00, time for your fruit cocktail. Yeah. We just we'd laugh about it, but that's the way it felt.
Yeah.
It felt like a jail. It feels like jail.
Tell me this. This is a question that popped up while you were talking. All right. So country club type, right? So community, right? And something happens to the funds. Something happens to the the money coming into where it needs to come to pay for this deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, is this just hey, sorry, man, but you're gonna have to call whoever loves you. You're evicted.
You don't have to go home.
So how the hell?
That's a great question.
That's a wonderful question.
Guys, I want to stop for a second and tell you guys that I've created a lot of moments on this podcast with asking great questions.
We have repeated that a few times, haven't we? That's a great question, Jimmy.
Let's continue. All right.
One time.
Yeah. Let's continue.
No, really, I mean, I think that is an important question is what I will say, because what happens when that money is gone, right? And what happens when you are in that community, right?
Yeah.
What is the next step? Well, the next step there is, yes, they can tell you to leave and they can knock on your door. It's not technically a knock on your door. It is okay, we're communicating with your power of attorney, your daughter, your son, your spouse, whoever is, your direct point of contact, whoever's managing your affairs. You're going to have, look, we know that the money is kind of, coming to an end here. So we need to have a plan for what that's going to look like for discharge.
Now, this part of your job or no?
It could be.
Really?
Because I will have families that will, call me when funds are getting low and they need to find a different community that has a cheaper overall monthly expense.
Have you found success in that? Have you been able to do it?
It depends on what you define as success. So I will tell you, this is
meaning that you got them in another place. You got them somewhere.
There are places, but there's not enough. So I will tell you. So when you come out of that, there's two ways to pay for care, right? You have private pay, and then you have Medicaid.
Okay.
That's your two ways that you pay for care. Private pay is out of your own pocket.
Yep.
Now,
however you can pay.
99% of assisted living and memory cares are going to be private pay. Okay.
Why?
Because it's a profit. It's a business, right? Yeah. It's the people care business, but it's a business, right? And it's a very lucrative business.
Yes.
But you can also provide a very high quality of life for those that do have the funds and have the ability to afford it, right? So the other side to that coin is you've got the low income Medicaid communities. These are more institutional feeling, I will tell you right up front. And your Medicaid communities are typically going to be, a lot of people who are destitute, right? That don't have money, that maybe have been blue collar their whole life, never saved anything, just working people, right?
Yeah.
Don't make much in Social Security, right? And at that point, all of a sudden, they're in a need for care. Well, what do you do with those people, right? Well, you look at Medicaid communities. And Medicaid communities are a mix of people that you could have homeless. Okay, you can have people who are low income. You can have people that have mental health challenges, right? Yeah. So when you're in these places, the quality of the care and the quality of the environment is you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah, and you're probably not going to have a lot of folks that are that have a lot of money in the bank that are like, you know what? I'm out on that. Let me go to the institutional line. Let me go to the facility. Let me go to the place that looks like a prison yard. You know what I mean? You go into, or it looks like Happy Gilmore when
he went and visited. Was that his grandma?
Get me out of here! That lady wanted to
get me out of here, right?
It's not like Ace Ventura goes
to just pulled yard duty all day. Like it's scary because you know what? Yeah. There's some videos that pop up every now and again where you see caretakers
elder abuse,
abusing these folks, and it's the scariest thing for me to think of, because they can't defend themselves, they can't do anything, and then they might get so frightened because you might tell them, just like the kind of levity we were bringing in with Ben Stiller and Happy Gilmore. And he's like, if you say something, I'm gonna, you get frightened. They don't say anything. It's a very nerve-wracking thing to put your loved one in the care in the hands of somebody who is a complete stranger, who's just got all the right boxes checked, right, for their resume, and they're doing this job that, like, you have this very, very awesome ability to help people emotionally get there too. Yeah. You're not just trying to check all the boxes and get all the money you can.
Correct.
You probably got a lot of people with tears streaming on their face. You've probably got some people that are like, man, nobody lives close enough to here. And that's another question that I had. So you're a North Carolina realtor, right?
I mean, I am a realtor. I'm a licensed realtor. I don't practice real estate, but I am licensed. I don't have to. So you don't have to be. Those two things are completely separate from each other.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought for some reason I thought they worked hand in hand.
No.
All right. So the question's null and void. I was about to ask, like, could you help somebody get?
Does that equal out your great question? Because that being such a horrible question.
Here's what I will say though. I will segue on that. All right, because
cut this part out.
That Curtis is playing coach right now. He's saving
that realtor piece. I'm telling you, played an important role in helping doing what I do at the right level. Okay, because this is relationship based help, right? Is what I do. I'm a consultant for families. And I will tell you, the way that I get compensated is not from the family. I don't get paid from the families. I get paid once they select the community. What my job is to bring these options to the table for the family that when I say check the boxes, right, and that sounds so simplified, but you have to simplify it for families because this is a very overwhelming process. Yeah. So you simplify.
Yeah, and they're going to want your kind of educated advice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Correct. More simple that for folks that don't know what the hell you're talking about, the easier it is for them to understand.
They don't.
Yeah.
That's tough. Like for me, that one of the questions I asked you would be something I would ask. Like, hey, what would happen if the money went out? What would happen to my mom?
So I think all of it, and I didn't mean to cut you. I'm sorry, Jimmy. This
the third time he's cut me off.
This all goes kind of hand in hand, right? This is a situation where we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we look at a Curtis and say,
salesmanship.
Man, I swear to God, I hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
because I don't.
Yeah.
So it takes.
And we have faith in this guy.
It takes time, and there's a trust building factor that comes along with these families, and I think a lot of that is experience, knowledge, and being able to show that what you are telling these families, you are backing up by showing them.
Good.
And that kind of goes right into the piece that when I am working with a family, I pull state survey scores, I pull inspection reports, all DSS, Department of Social Services information.
Accident type reports.
Oh yeah, I can pull all of it
reports.
if they've been fined. The thing is, I've been doing this so long that my professional network is so large in this industry. And this
Good
is
for you, man.
and I will tell you that my reputation is the most important thing to me when it comes to this business, because your reputation, I think in any business, precedes you no matter where you go, right? But in this business, you have to hold your reputation very high, because people will tell other people about you.
Yeah.
Families will tell other people about you when you have done something to help them in a wonderful job.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because how many people, just like we talked about with real estate, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows a realtor. I know like 5.
Yeah.
So, or maybe more.
Probably more.
I didn't even say anything.
You're rolling your eyes, said it all. But anyways, so how many people do you know do this line of work? And if there's very few, you got to stand out. You got to stand out.
I just got something right. So you're getting out of the car, and then your enemy's getting out of the car, and y'all are walking, and y'all are like, do you ever have that where you have to like
I think it's funny because I'm going to tell you a story right now real quick, right? So this happened today.
You tripped somebody on the way in?
I actually had a family that was referred to me, right? And was speaking with this family today. They live in a community currently here. Kind of goes back to what I was telling you about funds, okay? They can no longer afford. Her care level has increased to a point that they can no longer afford where they are. So they need to find another option.
Right.
Okay? Perfect example. I spent a good bit of time with the daughter, going through everything. And I knew right off the bat and talking to her where her income level was for her mom, where I needed to show her. Which community checked the boxes, right? That met all of these needs.
That you kind of trust.
Oh, yeah.
That you care is good.
100%.
Okay.
So I end up sending that referral over. I end up talking to the sales director that's there, and I set up this tour for the family, right? Okay. And I tour with my families. So I'm always there when we do the walkthrough.
Right.
I advocate for them. But so we set up the tour. Well, the sales director calls me back a little bit later and is like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm not going to name names, but I wanted to let you know that XYZ just called me and said, hey, I saw Curtis set up this tour. I've been working with this family since 2022. And this is one of our...
Sounds like his name's Raymond. Like he could be cool as shit and be called Ray. But he's like, my name's Raymond.
It was a woman. It's a woman. It's a woman. And out
Chelsea.
of South Carolina. Right. So,
Ashley.
Long story short, the...
IGH.
I have no idea what that means.
Tiffany.
Well, he said, we were talking names, and then he said Ashley. Like
I said IGH. That's what I was thinking.
Well, you're messing
Tiffany.
up his stride.
Anyways,
you're
go
messing
ahead.
up
I'm
his stride
sorry.
again.
I digress.
we'll back that up. So basically what ended up happening is that she really just kind of showed her ass a little bit to the sales director and made a stink with the family because I had been working with you and I had already sent that information over to the community. Well, I have a great relationship with the sales director and that family. And I told the sales director, I was like, look, I am more than happy to just step off. I'm going to back off, right? Yeah. I am not going to get into this because what's most important to me is that family's needs are being met. That tour is set up, period. I'm going to back away, right? Yeah. And I'm totally okay with it because I do not have time to get into this back and forth over that. And all I care about. Barbara.
So is this just a funny little glimpse into the world?
Did you step away?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I did.
how they're...
Okay. I did.
Well,
I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I talked to the family. And they called me and apologized. The family did said, because the husband had reached out to her some time ago. The wife had reached out to me and they had not communicated.
Did you talk to said person and have a conversation with her?
Oh, no.
Let her know she's a giant bag of
no
juice.
thanks.
My words, not his. My bad.
I will tell you this.
Jimmy's words, not Too Poor Podcast.
I had the conversation with my colleague about it, and my colleague has the same issue with her. It's just no. But,
it's just a little glimpse, though, no matter what world you're in.
It is. There's always something.
There's always
I do want to remind you, it was another good question.
Yeah. We're very niche what we do,
on the
though.
bottom right, I want good questions, Jimmy.
Ding, ding.
Yeah. So, all right. So one of my questions that I didn't get to ask originally.
Yeah.
This field right here is so specialized, right? And it's great. And to me, hearing you talk about it, voice goes up. You get excited about it.
Yeah.
That's good. You're doing something positive.
Yeah.
You're doing something good. Why elderly people who need care? Was there childhood connection? Was there
ding his side.
Ding.
Saving that one for last, you naughty little girl.
Hey, I finished strong.
Oh, we left you out of that. Sorry.
So I have to be a little introspective on that and the way that worked, right? Which is, hold up. That was late.
Why the fuck did I come out?
Come on. Yeah, take a sip.
Don't say come on, Jimmy. That's what you were about to say.
So
I've said it a million times in my life.
Answer to that question is something from my family, no. Right? But I will tell you what happened for me is that when I was a realtor and I was working and I got asked to basically come present at what is called a CCRC here in Charlotte, a continuing care retirement community. Okay. This is what they call a life plan community. And I won't name names on the community because it's not important really at this point, but there are many in our area, right? And they function very differently. They are nonprofits. They are for the 1%, of the people who have money and can afford care, right?
Yeah.
Because they provide independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing care all in the same community. Okay.
Well, it's an expensive freaking door to walk through.
Oh,
yeah, right.
I will tell you, on average, anywhere from probably about $300,000 to $600,000 entrance fee just to get in.
What?
Okay.
What?
Wait. That's just to get in.
I was about to get my calculator out, and then I'm like,
I was thinking we're going back to the original figures of like $12,000 a month.
No. So you're paying. It's country club living, is what it is, but it's senior care, right? Senior living.
So you pay a half a mil to get in there,
just to get in.
And then obviously
you're still paying a monthly expense anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a month.
And I still want to know what happens to that half a mil.
So that money up front, depending upon the community that you are in, will have refundability aspects to their contract. So let me explain that.
Percentage based.
So they'll have a 0% refundability, a 50% refundability, or a 90% refundability to their contract. What that means is that entrance fee, that half mil, we'll use that number. Okay, if you had a 50% refundable contract, that means that at end of life, 50% of that goes back to your estate. Okay. 0% contract, none goes back to your estate.
But what's the
based on time served?
Yeah, but like, why would anybody say, you know what, you keep that half a mil? Nobody in their right mind.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because what you are paying for is guaranteed care in that community.
Yeah.
Okay. What you are paying for is that your future for aging is guaranteed. That means that money you've put up front there, you are paying to get in. And you typically go in independent living, which means you're fully independent. You can still drive and you still do everything on your own, right? And they have cottages, single family homes on these properties, right? So
is that kind of like the community that's by my house that you used to serve? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there's about 5-6 of them in the Charlotte market, right?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them. So, and, but as you age through that, you have that need. It's guaranteed. If you have, all of a sudden your ADLs increase, your activities of daily living, you need more hands-on help. You shift over into assisted living in the community. It's guaranteed for you.
But it's there.
But in the same community.
Place. Yeah, because he said
everything's you're right.
Everything's there.
The same. So you're talking about like Jimmy and I right now. One of us could say, "I'm gonna put up a $500,000 to make sure that my spot right there is reserved."
You typically would not do that. No, you wouldn't do that at this age. So you would do that. I mean, you can get on a waiting list. I will tell you that we're too young to be on a waiting list at that point for it. But I will tell you that most people coming in there are typically going to be in their late 50s, in their 60s, right? That have done well off. They've got money, whatever that is. And they want to live in an environment where all of that care is already guaranteed for them.
Yep.
And once you're in the community, you can come and go as you please. You have all the amenities, luxury amenities. I mean, bars, you've got pools, you've got tennis courts.
So it probably gets a little wicked out there.
Probably gets a little wild.
So like Sun City, kind of.
So Sun City is completely different. So Sun City actually it's like a 55 and up, right? Club. Active adult community. So what that means, but those are single family homes, right? It's not like apartments.
I'm seeing a lot of walking around the market with a pineapple, a lot of
upside down pineapple,
a lot of awkward stuff going on.
What does that mean?
So apparently means you're a swinger.
Yeah,
I'm just playing.
And I only found this out online.
I don't know anything about that, right?
I only found this out online.
I read that somewhere.
Well, look, so the intricacies and it's very, very weird for me to hear it because I wasn't expecting all this. I was just expecting do this and bop, on to the next one, bop, on to the next one. It's just a hustle, bustle deal.
This is a lot of info.
It's a lot of info and it's a lot of work. And folks, when you think about what you have to do just to buy a car, or just to buy a house, or just to, simple investments like that, or, move, and all the stuff that you have to do into that, man, this is not just that. Hiring some movers. This is like, all right, man, mom's got early stages of X, Y, and Z dementia. Yeah. She's got also bad knees, so she can't be in a place that's got stairs or whatever. So there's probably a lot of other boxes that they check that are like, can't have this, can't have that, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's just difficult to think about. And then you think about the fact that somebody can just come in and say, by the way, your funds are low, scram. And what happens to the folks that, let's just say, because there's plenty of families out there like that, these kids live in Philadelphia and Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah, very common.
And these kids don't give a shit about the estate, and they don't care because mom didn't really have much to.
But the people who gave everything they had to make sure that these kids could be successful, and now mom and dad need it, and the kids are like,
sorry, busy
about that.
Yeah. Oh, I listen. I see it all. I could tell you stories for days of familial family situations that it sickens me. Yeah. Right, it really does, because I literally am in the trench with the family, having these discussions with the loved ones, with spouses, with adult children. Adult children are typically the ones that start this process with me. Yeah. Okay. It's typically not the senior. It's rare. Usually it'll be a spouse. If it is the senior, spouse will call because their husband or their wife is no longer able to do XYZ in the house, or they're falling. I
would imagine that the senior is so far removed of thinking that I want to go outside of this house. I've lived in this house for 40 years. Like the idea of that.
They want to die in the home.
Yeah.
And we want to honor that too, right? So with what I do, my company also does home care, right? So we do home care and placement. My specialty is I'm on the placement side, but our home care arm allows people to age in the home, right? And allows them to stay
out
home.
and 100%. Nutrition and the whole
yes, absolutely.
What's up? All right.
That's a lot.
I know.
It's almost not enough time to go through it all.
No, I know.
It's so much.
Let's make a bullet point. Let's make it kind of a bullet point list. That's what I was thinking about.
And I want to do a bullet point list, and I want to do this too. And I want to go ahead and say this. I want, for the first time in this podcast, I want a part 2. I want a part 2 of this. And it doesn't have to be a super long one. I don't want to be around him as much. I don't want to be around you as much. But
I think you're lying.
But there's some other things that I'm interested in knowing, and because when you find out something new like this, it can trigger certain things, right?
We can dive so much more into this because of the political aspect of this,
right?
The financial on income inequality,
right?
There's a lot of things,
government mismanagement,
and how
Medicaid,
we are giving money to so much other sources, but we got our elderly people who built this freaking country not getting jacked.
This is the video that I watched. This older gentleman said, "I work my ass off, and I give all this money away, all of year after year after year. I give all this money away." And then I get to retire and get some of the money back when I can't fucking do half the stuff that I want to do. I can't go and, hike, and hike the Appalachian, right? Maybe I'm just throwing this out here because we're primal, we're people, right? What if they're single? What if they lost their partner at some point and they want to go out and mingle and fun? Like, I'm not saying 65-year-olds and 70-year-olds don't go get down. I'm sure they do. Yeah. But it's just like, fuck, man. You wait till they're at the point where they're at a decline, where things are, because there's some 65-year-olds, man, that are in bad shape.
Listen, I will tell you right up front. There are 65-year-olds that you would think were 95. Right. And I've seen 95-year-olds that you would think are 65.
Right.
And that boils down to what we talked about earlier, taking care of your body, taking care of this machine, that you have. Because I'm telling you, knees are a big one. Taking care of your legs, right? Making sure that you've got flexibility, you've got the ability to be mobile. But if you're not doing that, by the time you get to 80 years old, right, you will be in a place that it's going to shorten your lifespan. It's just shortening your lifespan.
I cut the grass today. It took me a while.
But it puts more focus back on the stuff that we were talking about with Mike Taylor. On financial literacy. Financial literacy is making sure you're paying attention to that 401k, making sure you're putting a little bit of extra money back.
It's critical.
Because you can live now, but you still have to plan for your future self.
Yeah. And we are the only generation that has gone through the don't know about cell phones, don't know what it is, rotary phones, right? Tube TVs. Right, the TV with the hanger on the top of it, right? Yeah, I just want to make sure they're durable, right? All that going into pagers, going into car phones, going into that blah blah. Now fast forward into fucking AI, where you see these commercials on TV and they're like, wow, that's really cool. That robot's doing all that work.
We're here.
Yeah, they're doing all that work, and now Jason can't work anymore because that robot just took his job.
Yeah,
our parents are looking at us like, God, that shit never would have happened when I was a kid. This is wild stuff.
Hey, I've seen it all.
Right? Come on, great album. Great album.
Hey, can I get a cheers
on that
one? Yeah, absolutely. Look,
dude. Hey, listen. All right, Curtis, can you give us a couple of bullet points before we segue into the 3-question segment?
Yes.
Can you give us just a kind of a bullet point on, hey, listen, planning for your future now, if you have elderly parents right now who are planning for their next stage, can you give us just a couple of quick bullet points of what they need to do right now?
So I will tell you right off bat, you need to have an idea of what that plan is going to look like. First thing is going to be to have some type of estate planning put into place, okay? Whether it's power of attorney, having wills, living wills put into place, because time and time again, I deal with families that will get into a certain point cognitively that they can no longer make decisions for themselves. They have not had power of attorney or estate planning put into place. Adult children are having to make decisions and they can't. Okay. And then you have to go through the court system for guardianship. And I'm going to tell you right now, you do not want to do that. Plan for it accordingly, right? While you are sharp.
Have the plan.
Have that plan in place financially, right? At that.
So when you say have that plan in place while you're sharp, you're talking about the respective person that will be in assisted living.
Correct. Okay. And look, even if someone is in their 60s at this point and they're talking to their kids, right? And they're going to talk about planning, they need to have these conversations. You got to talk about it.
Right.
So you've got to be able to understand what's going to happen when I come into this time for need. I need to have a plan in place already in action for it. Right. So you don't have to go back and you're scrambling and leaving your adult children to try to figure out what's going on. So that would be paramount, kind of first and foremost. I think secondly, look, it is planning financially, putting money away, right? Thinking about this, having a healthcare plan put into place. You need to look into long-term care insurance, right? So that, again, we can get into this in part 2 if necessary, but the long-term care insurance industry is another piece that if you can get that now, it's important because the policies that were available for that generation that I assist now are no longer available to us, but there are still options, right? And if you can afford to do it, it's definitely worthwhile to do it because that will kick in when that healthcare need comes into place and will help pay a certain amount, sometimes up to a full dollar amount of what that care is.
Wow.
So it's about looking at some of these financial tools that are available to be able to plan for those things.
So even speaking to Kenny Carver before, he's in life insurance, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that something that you get into?
You could talk. I guarantee you could talk to him and ask him about LTC, long-term care insurance policies, right?
Okay.
What they have now are what are called hybrid policies, which are a hybrid life, long-term care. The typical standalone long-term care doesn't exist anymore. That industry has been taken to the cleaners because this boomer population and their parents had those policies and are now using them. So what has happened is that the insurance industry has been dismantled because of financially. So they have now kind of cut back on the type of policies that they even offer anymore, right? Okay. So that's having a financial, really some of those tools in place is critical. And I also think you need to think about location and where you want to spend the rest of your life, right? From temperature, how far away are you from adult children, from family? Right. If your adult children live on the opposite side of the country, but you live here, that's wonderful, right? Yeah. But what's going to happen if those needs do increase? Do you want to be here alone where your adult children in any family
that's right.
on the opposite side of the country?
We talk about cognitive decline.
Absolutely.
I mean, being around people who remind you of those things and being around people, your loved ones and support network.
Yeah. Right.
Seems to me like that's going to help a lot.
Yeah.
So all right. So I know what we're going to do. We're going to plan part 2.
Okay.
And we might just sit here and drink bourbon and just goof off with Curtis. But what we're going to do is we're going to put his information here so people can get in touch with him if they need to talk about this.
Absolutely.
I
would love that.
We do need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we're also going to put Kenny's information as far as on the insurance end.
So that they can reach out to him.
If they need to ask questions about that. Listen. Two Poor Podcast. This is your one-stop shop.
Come on,
for information.
Look, man. Again, starting from the beginning of this podcast and the infancy stages of this podcast, everything that we wanted to do really wasn't about Jimmy and Jason. It never was. And when we did the first album that we did, it wasn't about Jason. It was about me. He was like, "Man, I'm going to buy this studio time. Let's go." And it gets to this deal where we love putting other people in front of us and onto a platform to where maybe just one person will call, maybe 2 people will call, right? And maybe they can help. Maybe somebody is struggling right now and they don't know what the hell to do, and then they find out that this is what you got to do to get it done.
Here's the great thing about it, though. It doesn't matter who we've brought on this podcast. I know if one person calls and asks Curtis a question, he's gonna guide him in the right place.
Yes.
And he's gonna give him an answer.
Yes.
If they call Kenny, he's gonna ask. He's gonna give him an answer. So we're bringing healing, tragedy to triumph.
Right.
Two Poor Podcasts is what we're talking about. So we're gonna be quick with the 3.
I'm gonna be honest with you and transparent. I gotta go pick up Julesy from work.
Okay.
And I gotta hightail it.
Okay. We're gonna be quick with this one.
All right.
So 3 questions. You never know where they're gonna go. Right. You never know where they're gonna go. All right. What do you think will bring destruction to mankind? Because I started thinking about this.
I'm going to tell you right now.
I started thinking about all these different things and where we could go. And this is one that kind of stood out to me.
I think it's going to be artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
100%. I think there's going to come to a point where, the physical labor is no longer needed from the workforce. I think, when you start to have that crumble, our society is going to deteriorate. So there needs to be something that's there.
I went into a Circle K in South Carolina on my way back after looking at a house. We bought a bottle of water and a protein bar. They said, put it under the scanner.
I
just put it on a tablet.
Yeah.
And it said, bam, that's what you got.
I asked the lady today when I was getting that stuff. I said, hey, what is this? And guess what? The fucking bag was sitting right beside me. I threw the bag off and I did everything. I looked at the lady. I said, "What are you doing back there?" I literally, I did everything.
The batteries? What are you doing, bro? All right. So question number two. Like I said, you never know where it's going to go. For you, what is it time to accept?
It's time to accept that age is inevitable. Aging is inevitable. Those years that I was young and the years that I was
they're gone,
virile and, making bad decisions, but I would definitely say that, age is inevitable. Yeah.
Age is inevitable. That's great. That's great. All right. So number 3, and we're going to end it with this. I want you to look at the camera right now.
Come on.
Imagine the camera is Curtis of this time right now in 2025. What are you going to promise yourself?
That I'm going to continue to be a great dad, great husband, great provider, and to do something that fills my cup every day at work, in my career, and make sure that when I go home at night, that I can sleep with a clear mind, knowing that I'm helping people.
Wow.
None of this is staged. None of this is staged. I love that.
Look, man, I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, and having beautiful people. To be able to have a conversation, share the conversation, share the knowledge, get educated. I've said this a bunch of times. We ain't getting out of this alive, man. No. We're not making out of this alive.
That's a guarantee.
But you know what, man? While you're here, live it up, man. Do what, like he said. What fills your cup, brother? I mean, do what makes you happy. Some fools sit around and do yoga class and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you might talk some shit about them dudes, but I guarantee you that they can slap the shit out of you the same way as anybody else.
Hey, in a backbend.
Listen. So,
from a weird stretch.
And so, while holding themselves up with one hand.
Just a pinky.
How the hell did you hit me in the back of the head? But, tonight, the reason why we're not going to do a parting shot is because we have some great news about another sponsor that they're in. And they are going to be the official, sponsor of the parting shot. And it's something that we believe in strongly of again, advocating, local businesses or anybody that wants to join up. And so don't hesitate. Reach out to us. Let us get you on here because I see nothing but beautiful things in the future. I see nothing but us soaring through the friendly skies together.
We got so much more coming, so much more to announce. We got merch coming. And hey, do you want to give a shout out to your boy who gave you a shout out, comment on YouTube?
Yeah, Beef Stick 52. Fucking
Beef Stick.
Yeah, what up, Beef Stick?
What up, bro?
Yeah, he made a comment on YouTube that was like
on the last episode where we were telling our near death stories where you and I might not ever watch that episode.
I haven't watched the episode yet.
I haven't watched the episode. We might not ever watch that episode. It's already set the record within 2 days, most views of any of our episodes.
We had like 5 million.
So 2, but that's okay.
So the dude said like, he's like, how do these dudes end up on my feed? And then the one dude who's the whitest dude ever, who acts like the blackest dude ever, reminds me of my friend Pat.
LOL.
But it was a really awesome deal, And so, shout out Beef Stick.
But follow that up with it at the end. He said, "Hey man, I actually listened."
Yeah, he appreciated
I don't know who these
it.
dudes are. I'm from Pittsburgh. How the hell they end up on my feed?
Yeah.
But I listened and I really liked it. And I'm really enjoyable.
We'll take it.
It was really enjoyable. And hey man, listen, if we're talking right now, if people are listening to us right now, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Hey man,
live it up, man.
It's a blessing. Live it up. Thank you. You understand what the deal is. It's the Two Poor Podcast. It's my very best friend Curtis English, my very best friend Jason Bridwell. It's my man Sean in the background
on the ones and twos.
Right, Ricky Rob the right. And look, I love you guys, man.
I love you too, man.
I love it.
I love this shit.
Love.
All right, great job. Boom. Guys,
see you next time. Love you guys.